Ladies and gentlemen of the beautiful crypto space, it just keeps getting worse. And if you're not sure exactly what I'm talking about, you must have been living under a stone because, well, just keep watching, I guess. So hopefully by now you guys remember something I covered, I think a few days ago here, the July 5th. We covered that the German government and Mt. Gox and I guess the American government, they all have a crazy sum of Bitcoin, and we actually listed the amount of Bitcoin that these entities have, which is a pretty significant sum. Don't get that twisted. And now we also argued, what if they were to sell it all? How would the prices get affected? And my point was, probably it doesn't change anything because we all expect them to basically get rid of most of it over time, for the governments at least. So preferably as soon as possible at lower prices, or I guess in the next really bear market. But since prices were pumping again the last few days over the weekend, since Friday, people got overzealous again. They got excited again. They thought, you know what? Maybe that indeed is correct, that people are just overreacting and prices are just going to start recovering from here and be joyful. But you know what happened then? Take a look at this from 10 minutes ago. The German government transferred 1,000 Bitcoin out again 50 minutes ago, of which 500 Bitcoin was deposited to Coinbase and Bitstamp. The German government currently holds 38,000 Bitcoin, and people started thinking again of the idea that this is not going to be over. For some reason, it was not updating. What I was showing you was this right here. The fact that the German government, again, has sold their Bitcoin. For some reason, some things are not updating fully on here. Anyway, if we're looking at the numbers, though, if we're crunching them out, it's mostly just people thinking that it's all getting worse. For example, we had a really bearish weekly close. So the Sunday, at the end of Sunday, things went down hard. And so people are feeling rather uncomfortable. And these bad thoughts, these bad ideas, these bad predictions, bad being negative, not bad as in, this is not supposed to happen. But now, I think we're back into just bear posting territory where most people are just making these bearish jokes, making these jokes of, hey, we're going down to zero. The bull market's over. You know, where are the guys that told me that this was just funny, not crypto? Where are all the guys that told us things are going to get nice? Because everybody has started going really negative. Many of them are jokes, by the way. Zach here said, nobody's buying Bitcoin. Everything's going to zero. We're all going to die. Well, obviously the first is not true. Second of all is not true. And third of all is very much true. But I guess you knew that from day one. Having said that, it was a very unfortunate weekly close, causing things to kind of go cascade downwards. Obviously, though, that has nothing to do with the German government selling more. And ultimately, I think a good question might be, does it really matter at all if we know that the German government inevitably has to sell everything over time? And so if they're letting go of it now, isn't that essentially kind of good? Because it's kind of lower prices. And again, when taking a look at details, right now, if they're selling, that could coincide with the Bitcoin miners also selling. If that happens, there's more and more selling pressure, obviously, if there's also no ETF inflow. By the way, I should add that this is all before the Ethereum ETF inflows. And we're all thinking that that's what's going to cause things to go on a crazy ruckus. So it's just kind of like a little waiting game for that. Regardless, right now, they would be selling at a pretty negative spot if we're talking about the miners' realized prices. So Bitcoin traders would only realize losses from selling. Their margins are minus 17%, the most negative since November 2022, shortly after the FTX collapse. Enough said, this is the buy and hold zone. We haven't been this low in profit loss margin zone since the pico bottom of the previous bear market. And like Wolf often says, if you just open longs, you just have a 2x, 3x long open, you just keep DCAing it down, usually you end up in the bull market with crazy gains because ultimately, even though we might see some downside and things might look bad, and we could go down lower, I'm not the one that's telling you that it's up from here. I'm just saying if you're adequately prepared and not over leveraged, which is a key, don't go crazy on the leverage. I know it must be very uncomfortable in spot. Even my spot bags are down a lot. Most coins are down significantly. You know it will be right though. Only thing is, to make it better, you can sometimes sell, like I said before, the altcoins when the market turned around, which was a couple months back. And even though we kind of got a little fake faith after June, I'd say after May already, we got a little couple of fakes here. This was our fake back in actually it was June the last time we went to 72. Since we got faked out there, I thought, and I think a lot of people did, that you could actually still hold on to altcoins and it would be fine. But the last month has showcased that that was indeed not the case. And our bull market theories still hold up nicely, which is sell all altcoins and don't even touch them in the beginning, first 70 weeks or so of a bull market. In the next 70 weeks, it will start to get crazy, but don't touch them until you see Bitcoin settle in and Ethereum starts to take over. Once Ethereum starts to take over, and you're kind of done with that rise, you go for smaller and smaller altcoins. And ultimately, all I'm showing here is people are saying that this is now the downtrend that started. This is a really negative weekly close because the price dumped really crazy overnight. And from here on forward, we're going to start trending downwards. And I saw a lot of people bear posting that because obviously it was a lot of liquidations. It was some crazy action overnight. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I personally think if you zoom out, all will be fine. It might look bad, but as long as you don't go below 50,000 here over the next, I'm going to say, few months, it won't even look weird in hindsight. It's only if we right now crash to like 35 or something like that, maybe 25, that overall, over a longer term, that it really looks kind of odd out. Then again, if we're looking back at the March 2020 capitulation, the event right there, even there, the price dropped by how much? Let's quickly check this out. See how much the price dropped from the bull market signs. The price dropped roughly 72% or so. And from just a few weeks before, it dropped how much? 64% or so in like a few weeks. If they were to do that right now, were to drop 64%, we'd end up at 27,000. And I don't see there's any way of that happening. What I do potentially foresee is just more fear being installed in you right now, staying above this general line though, staying above the general trend. Because it's, for the most part, fear. It's not necessarily backed up too much by actual fundamentals, because we're selling because of Germany. We're selling because we think the bull market's over. We're selling because of other people selling. But why does that change the thesis all of a sudden if we know, or we knew already that they had these Bitcoin, and we knew already that we prefer for them to sell them as quickly as possible rather than later? So to me, you might say, oh, but Mt. Gox. Yeah, but we know, or we have known for a long time that they had these. So is it then a surprise burst? And again, argument to counter all of it. The ETF providers knew that also, yet they still wanted to get in, and still massive buys are done every single day. These guys are not stupid. They're probably better analysts than we are. So if even they analyzed it and they're like, you know what? We got to buy some of this Bitcoin stuff, knowing about Mt. Gox, knowing about all these other issuers, I'm resting my case. I think it's so obvious that it's all just a little bit of a trap. Ultimately, it might get dark for a little bit, and I'll be the first one to admit that nobody knows exactly what's going to happen next. I think the best thing to do is just look at what's happening, react to it in the best way, and for right now, it's just a matter of, well, it's not looking very good, folk. Just keep buying your way down lower, hold strong, and understand that soon enough it will be over though, and you'll rejoice, just like you could have done over the last few days. If you were actually actively buying that dip, you know at some point it's got to end, right? Don't get liquidated. Make sure you catch those lows. At some point, you'll be able to grab it all, for example, at 53.5, maybe 55K. You're able to get that swing upwards, make tons of profit throughout the last couple of days. Yeah, those are my thoughts.